What if I told you the economy is breaking records, but not in a good way? On the surface, everything looks rosy. Unemployment is down, the stock market is doing its best impression of a SpaceX launch, and everyone's talking about the next big tech boom. But if everything is so great, why does it feel like we're barely getting by? Why are so many people living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, and feeling like they're just one unexpected bill away from disaster? The economy isn't as strong as they want you to believe. In fact, we might be witnessing a slow-motion collapse right before our eyes. Let's rip off the Band-Aid and expose the truth. The current narrative being spun is that we're in a strong economy. But what does that even mean? Is it record corporate profits while wages stagnate? Is it a stock market detached from reality while everyday people struggle to afford basic necessities? We're being bombarded with news about low unemployment rates, but how much of that is a facade? How many people are working multiple gig jobs just to make ends meet? We need to look beyond the smoke and mirrors, beyond the carefully curated statistics and PR spin. Because the truth is, this supposed economic boom isn't reaching everyone. It's not trickling down. It's being hoarded at the top, leaving the rest of us scrambling for scraps. This isn't a strong economy for most of us. So buckle up, because in the next few chapters, we're going to pull back the curtain and expose what's really going on. Let's talk about jobs, or rather, the lack thereof. Sure, unemployment figures might be at historical lows, but that doesn't mean the job market is healthy. In fact, we're stuck in what I call the big freeze. Companies are hesitant to hire new employees, even when they desperately need them. Why? Because they're terrified of instability, of another economic downturn. They're content to squeeze their existing workforce dry, pushing them to do more with less. And what about career growth? Forget about it. The days of climbing the corporate ladder are long gone. This big freeze is creating a generation of workers who are anxious, burnt out, and deeply uncertain about their future. They're stuck in a system that offers little security, little opportunity for advancement, and even less hope for a brighter future. We need to break free from this big freeze, demand better from our employers, and reclaim our agency in the workforce. The future of our economy, our livelihoods, depends on it. Let's talk about a silent thief, one that's been picking your pocket for years. You work hard, put in the hours, maybe even got that promotion if you're lucky enough to escape the big freeze. But here's the kicker, your money just doesn't go as far as it used to. That raise you fought tooth and nail for, eaten alive by the ever-increasing cost of, well, everything. This is the insidious nature of inflation. It's not always about skyrocketing prices making headlines. It's the subtle, creeping increase in the cost of living that slowly but surely erodes your purchasing power. Remember when you could buy a week's worth of groceries for $100? Now you're lucky to get out of there without spending twice that. Meanwhile, wages remain stubbornly stagnant, stuck in a time warp, while the cost of living zooms ahead at warp speed. It's a recipe for disaster, a surefire way to keep the majority of us trapped in a cycle of debt and financial insecurity. We need to wake up to this reality, demand better from our elected officials, and fight for policies that protect workers, not corporate greed. Because if we don't, our hard-earned money will continue to vanish into thin air, leaving us with empty wallets and a whole lot of frustration. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The one with algorithms for brains and robotic arms, AI and automation. Now, I'm not some Luddite railing against the evils of technology. I understand progress is inevitable, and yes, there are potential benefits. But we need to have an honest conversation about the hidden costs, the ones that are rarely discussed in polite company. Because here's the thing, automation is happening, and it's happening fast. Jobs that were once considered secure, even those requiring specialized skills, are being replaced by algorithms and robots. And while the tech elite promises a future of abundance and leisure, where robots do all the work and humans kick back and enjoy the fruits of their labor, the reality is far less utopian. What happens when millions of people are displaced from their jobs, with no clear path to reskilling or finding new employment? We're staring down the barrel of mass unemployment, social unrest, and economic upheaval on a scale we've never seen before. We need to demand better from our leaders, push for policies that protect workers, invest in education and reskilling programs, and ensure that the benefits of automation are shared by all, not just a select few. So, who actually benefits from all this? We've talked about the illusion of a strong economy, the big freeze in the job market, the shrinking value of your hard-earned money, and the looming threat of mass automation. It's a pretty bleak picture, right? But here's the thing. It's not bleak for everyone. In fact, there's a select group of people who are doing better than ever. Follow the money, they say, and it'll lead you to the source of power. Well, in this case, the money leads straight to the top, to the corporations and the ultra-wealthy who are benefiting from the very systems that are failing the rest of us. While we're struggling to keep our heads above water, they're swimming in profits, their wealth growing at an exponential rate. The stock market might be a casino for most of us, but for them, it's a rigged game where they always win. Tax cuts, deregulation, globalization. These policies weren't accidents. They were carefully crafted to funnel wealth upwards, to consolidate power in the hands of the few at the expense of the many. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can choose to rewrite the rules, to create an economy that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. It starts by demanding better from our elected officials, by supporting policies that promote economic equality, by holding corporations accountable for their actions, and by refusing to accept the status quo. Where is this heading? We've reached a crossroads. The path we're on, the one paved with economic illusions, frozen opportunities, and a shrinking middle class, leads to a future few of us would want to inhabit. Imagine a world where the gap between the haves and have-nots has become an unbridgeable chasm, where automation has decimated entire industries, leaving millions unemployed and desperate, where the social fabric has frayed beyond repair, replaced by distrust, anger, and unrest. This isn't some dystopian fantasy. It's the logical endpoint of the path we're currently on. But here's the good news. We still have a choice. We can choose to change course, to forge a new path, one that leads to a more just and equitable future. It starts by acknowledging the truth, by facing the reality of our current economic situation head on. We can't solve a problem we refuse to acknowledge. We need to challenge the status quo, to reject the notion that endless growth and corporate profits are the only metrics that matter. We need to demand better from our leaders, to hold them accountable for their promises, and to push for policies that prioritize the well-being of people and the planet over corporate greed. The time for action is now. So, is this economy strong, or are we watching a slow-motion collapse? The signs are all around us, hidden in plain sight. If we keep heading in this direction, the gap between the haves and have-nots will continue to widen, the middle class will continue to shrink, and the promise of a better future will remain just that, a promise forever out of reach. But it doesn't have to be this way. We have the power to change course, to create an economy that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Do you think this economy is as strong as they say, or are we being played?